Hello, everybody. This is Bristol McAllister. I am the program manager of JA BizTown of Central Maryland, and I will be hosting your training today. I want to welcome all of you to this training. This training is going to tell you all about BizTown, what you need to know, and how you're going to implement it into your students. It's going to have some screenshots from the curriculum. It's going to really prepare you for your BizTown experience. So BizTown is one of two capstone programs that JA of Central Maryland offers, and BizTown is a 4 to 6 week curriculum that is geared for 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. And what they're learning about is they're learning about finance, they're learning about work and career readiness, financial literacy, and just things to kind of get them ready to be out in the community and be able to be working in the community as a citizen. Our other capstone program that we offer here is Finance Park, and that is geared towards middle and high school students here at JA of Central Maryland. We offer Finance Park virtually, and we offer it primarily for 7th and 8th graders. This training is going to be about 45 minutes long. Like I said, we will be using some screenshots throughout to help you through your curriculum experience. And if you have questions, please feel free to reach out and ask them as we go. The objectives of today's training include understanding the purpose of BizTown, how to effectively use your curriculum, what your responsibilities will be for a successful student visit, and basic operation of the on-site simulation. For you as teachers, there are a few benefits of teaching this program. The first one is the lessons are very easy to use. You don't have to make any copies. You don't have to do any lesson plans. It is all laid out for you and is all provided by JA of Central Maryland. Minimal preparation time is also needed. You can just jump right in and start reading the lessons. There's nothing that you have to do in order to be able to teach the lessons prior. You can just start right with the first lesson in the curriculum binder. The BizTown content is aligned with Common Core state standards, and those will be listed throughout the curriculum. The curriculum is fun, it's interactive, and it's engaging, and the kids really enjoy learning about it. And then they really enjoy having the culminating experience at the simulation visit at the end of the unit. There are application and extension activities in each lesson, which are just additional activities that get your kids more practice. They are able to have a better understanding of the concepts. They are optional, but just additional practice for your students. And by teaching this curriculum, you are able to obtain 2 CPD credits for the school year. So CPD credits, they are offered if you meet certain criteria within the BizTown curriculum. You will be able to receive 2 CPD credits if you do the following for the BizTown curriculum. You would complete and submit the BizTown pre and post tests, which will be provided by JA of Central Maryland. You will complete all the BizTown lessons as well as the on-site simulation day. Have your students write and send thank you notes to the BizTown volunteers, and then attend 2 or 4 webinars scheduled by JA. And all of that information that is collected to obtain the CPD credits are sent right to our office here, and our office staff will process them and then send the CPD credits at the end of the school year. As we're going through this training, there's going to be a lot of different resources that I discussed, and all of which can be found on our website, the Junior Achievement of Central Maryland's website. I have listed some of the things here that you can find. There's a lot of other resources that you can use, and I'm going to switch there now just so you guys can see what it looks like. So this is our homepage. This will be what it will look like when you go to the homepage. And if you come up here to Programs and then go to Educator Resources, you're going to find that list that I just provided, as well as many others. All of the documents here relate to BizTown. If you scroll further, you will see that we have documents related to our other capstone program, Finance Park Virtual. Those are only for Finance Park Virtual. So the ones that are just needed for BizTown are just up here in the BizTown section. Those can be accessed at any time. You don't need to ask JA for access, or there's no login information. They can be accessed directly from our website. Student goals and outcomes of the BizTown curriculum. They're going to demonstrate a basic understanding of the free enterprise system, build money management skills, develop an understanding of basic business practices and responsibilities, describe the role of a citizenship, worker, producer, consumer, and philanthropy in the economy, and be able to learn and display the soft skills necessary for successful participation in the world of work. And all of these things you will see come into play on their simulation day. So they've been learning this curriculum, and then they come into the simulation day and they're able to put all these skills into place. The BizTown curriculum is a curriculum of 12 lessons, 13 lessons, excuse me, 12 that are taught pre-simulation and 1 that is taught post-simulation. There are 4 different units. The first unit is financial literacy, and this is where the students are learning about financial institutions, banking services, savings accounts, checking accounts, banking accounts, electronic payments. The second unit, community and economy. This is where the students are learning what it means to be a citizen, what the roles and responsibilities of being a citizen are, what a free enterprise system is, and what are public goods and services. So the first section really talks about what the money section is, and then the second unit talks about how that money is relating to being in a community. The third section is work and career readiness, and that is where the students are figuring out how to apply for jobs and using their interest and skills to apply for jobs. This also talks about BizTown job-related information. The fourth section that's taught prior to the simulation day is business management. And this is where your students are getting together in their business groups and working together to help start up their business prior to attending BizTown. This is also where they are setting any prices for their products as well as any final visit preparation. The JA BizTown curriculum will be provided to you. Everything will be provided, including a teacher guide, which some of you may or may not have right now in front of you. If you don't, that's fine. We will make sure that you get a copy of that. The classroom kit. The classroom kit, you will get 1 kit per school. And this is something that we recommend you laminating and using the resources from classroom to classroom as well as year to year. You will also get citizen guides, which are workbooks, and these are workbooks for the students to use. They have all their worksheets in. You don't have to make copies of any of them. You will get 1 per student that's attending BizTown. You will also get 1 checkbook for every student that's attending BizTown. The workbooks do have some practice checks, deposit slips, and transaction registers in. We do recommend you using those practice sheets during your curriculum teaching and save the checkbooks for the on-site visit. The on-site visit, we need to have the checkbooks, and they also need to be blank to make sure that you're not using the checkbooks for your practice during your curriculum teaching. And you will also receive a Biz Prep packet. If you are a non-Baltimore City school, you will receive your Biz Prep packets ahead of time. And these packets are just a little workbook that each business will work through prior to the simulation, where they are talking about their budget of their business, they're talking about how much they want to sell products for, they're filling out a loan application, filling out a promissory note. That will all be filled out ahead of time. If you are a Baltimore City school, you will receive your Biz Prep packets on site on the day of your simulation, and they will be filled out on site. This is just a picture of what is included in that classroom kit. Again, this is 1 kit per school. They are to be shared amongst classrooms and from year to year, so we do recommend that you laminate any posters or any bingo cards that can be laminated and used with dry erase markers. That's a really great tool to use to keep those items fresh and to be able to keep them to be used from year to year. As you jump into your curriculum guide, you will have 1 teacher guide for every teacher that is teaching BizTown, so you do not have to share that. There are different tabs throughout the curriculum guide that we will go through here over the next few slides, and some of it I already touched on, but it's a very easy curriculum to follow. All the sections are color-coded by lesson. So all the financial literacy is 1 color, community and economy are all color-coded the same color, work and career readiness, and so forth. So that way you know as you're flipping through, you are still within the same section. So over the next few slides, we are going to show you what is inside the curriculum and some things to point out. So the first thing we come to is the curriculum timeline. This is just an example, and this can be found in your overview and getting started section of your curriculum binder. Most teachers will teach financial literacy first, followed by community and economy, work and career readiness, and business management. This gives the students the most time with working with their checks and their transaction registers by teaching financial literacy first. There is an option to teach community and economy first. You as the teacher, you can decide what timeline you would like to use as long as all 12 lessons are taught prior to coming to BizTown. Each BizTown lesson is about 50 minutes long with a 5-minute warm-up, 2 25-minute activities, and then a 5-minute wrap-up activity. These lessons can be taught in these activities can be taught in one chunk, or you can just do the, activity 1 of lesson 1 one day, activity 2 of lesson 1 the next day. However you want to teach it is totally fine. This curriculum does take about 4 weeks to teach if you're teaching it every day. Can take longer. You can extend it over multiple months if you want. It's totally your option as to how you want to teach it, how often you want to teach it, as long as all the lessons are taught prior to your on-site simulation day. So here's where we start to look at what the curriculum actually looks like. So this is the financial literacy unit, and you can see here that this blue bar here is telling you that it's financial literacy. That's the section I told you, that's the part I told you would be color-coded. All the financial literacy pages will be that blue color. So as you're flipping through your curriculum, you will see these green boxes, and that is telling you what is in the lessons and the extension and applications that are also included in each unit. The extension and the application activities, these are optional, like I mentioned before. They are just extra practice activities that correspond with the unit. They do not have to be taught in order to attend BizTown. And our next thing to point out is any box in purple is a materials note. This is for teachers. It'll tell you where to find more information, what posters to use, different resources. So look there if you're looking for something. And if you can't find something, please feel free to reach out to staff at JA Central Maryland, and we can help you with the documents that you might need or the materials that you might need. In every section, there will be an orange vocabulary box. This is vocabulary that is used throughout that unit, just specifically for that unit. This is really great to incorporate with your kids in other subjects where they're using these as spelling words or using these in a writing prompt. These are words that you will find frequently used throughout that unit. This dark green box is, again, another teacher box. This one here is just saying an AV option that there's an additional resources available for this lesson. A few more lesson features. There are need more practice boxes. And even in these boxes, it's telling you where to go if your students need more practice with this activity. For example, this one says, see page 17, application activity 2. And this need more practice box correlates to the information that was just previously learned. Again, over here, you do see another purple teacher note, and that's just more information that you might, that will benefit the teachers. Next to all the lessons, you will see CCSS, and that stands for Common Core State Standards. Those are the standards that I referenced at the beginning, and what subject and what grade level that the standard applies to, or what that part of the curriculum applies to. Let's go back real quick here. Right here in this blue ribbon, it says 4th grade variance and 6th grade variance. BizTown is written primarily for 5th grade. However, they do offer 4th grade variances and 6th grade variances. We have had teachers teach the curriculum with mixed age levels and have had no problems. We also have had teachers that have used the variances, so please feel free to use the variances as you feel fit to accommodate for your age students. Over here, there's a black ribbon that says Simulation Connection. These are notes, again, for the teachers to look out for, because what this is telling you is something that's related to the simulation. So this is something very important to remember for your simulation day. All right, moving on here. We do have this option box at the end of each lesson, and that is just discussing the application and extension activities that are related to that unit. Like I said, they do not need to be taught in order to attend BizTown. If you do choose to do these activities, make sure you do the extension and application activities in financial literacy after you have taught financial literacy. Don't go back and forth between units, because that will just confuse the kids. And the application and extension activities in financial literacy correlate to what is taught in the unit. And it also helps them by giving them a better understanding of the unit. So if you feel that your students need more practice with the unit, please look at these application activities and, like for example, this one here, the first one is focusing on bank services. The second is vocabulary review. So you might pick and choose which ones would benefit your student. The next page of this is showing a screenshot of the citizen guide. And like I mentioned, all students will get a citizen guide. It is their workbook. You do not have to make copies of it. It is for them to use throughout the curriculum. They can write in this book, and they do not need to bring the book with them to their simulation day. The teacher guide will identify what page to go to in the citizen guide. Right here it says citizen guide page 1. And if, for example, it is a prompt that requires answers, it will provide the answers in your teacher guide as well. The citizen guide pages in the curriculum are concurrent with the curriculum. So as you are going through the curriculum and you get to this page here that we're supposed to be on citizen guide, page 1, it correlates to what was just learned in financial literacy. So moving on to these application and extension activities, again, these are optional, but they are set up the exact same way that the core lessons are. You have your time frame, you have your materials, you have your color-coded sidebar, you have your vocabulary, your variances, your Common Core state standards. So they're set up the exact same way. You can choose which ones you want to do and if you want to do any of them. So we come to our first unit, which is financial literacy, and they are learning about financial institutions, learning what a checkbook is, learning what a bank account is, electronic payments. If you want your students to practice writing a check or keeping a transaction register, make sure to use the pages at the end of your citizen guide, and the students can practice writing those checks in that. In this unit, they are introduced to checks and checkbooks. Throughout this lesson, there are also check it out sections, and throughout the whole curriculum, excuse me. The check it out sections are practice scenarios that your students can do to learn how to make a withdrawal from their checking account and keep track of a transaction register. If you choose to do the check it out section, please make sure you do each one, because the amounts from each check it out section carry over to each unit. For example, you might have a balance left today of $10, and when you go to the next section, it'll say, with your $10 balance, and it will add or subtract onto that balance. So make sure if you do all the check it out sections that you do all of them. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, just bear with us for one moment. Seems like we're having a little technical issue. I'm going to try to open this up in another screen. Just bear with me for 1 second, please. All right, we might be back up and running. All right, just bear with us for one brief moment. Okay, what I might do is I'm going to show you the slideshow, I think, just from this screen for a few slides until it seems to get back on track. So let me just pull up where we were. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, so community and economy. So this is our second unit. During this unit, the students are learning about their roles as a citizen, what their rights and responsibilities of being a citizen are, the free enterprise system, public goods and services, and the circular flow of an economy. So now the students are really learning what does it mean to be in an economy and how does all of that work together. Let's see if I can try to open this back up now. All right, we are back up. Sorry about that. Our third section we come to is working career readiness. And up until now, all the BizTown information that they have been learning has just been generic information. Starting with the working career readiness section, now this is information related to jobs and companies at BizTown of Central Maryland. So during this unit, they are really getting into career exploration, where they are looking at their own interest and skills, they're applying for jobs, and really kind of seeing what is included in a job. In this section, you'll also have, like I said, specific BizTown information, but you will have information on the local jobs here at BizTown of Central Maryland, as well as election information and job interviews. Now, as a teacher, there's a few ways that you can assign your students their jobs. Some teachers just select each student and assign them to a job. Another option is for the students to pick 2 or 3 jobs and 2 or 3 businesses that they might be interested in, and then you can then you can assign the students that way. And the third way you can assign your jobs, you can actually set up mock interviews and have the students apply for the jobs that they want. Teachers who have done this in the past have found it very successful to have parent volunteers come into the classroom and help facilitate those interviews. So you as the teacher can pick how you want to assign the jobs. So we'll move on unless there's any questions.
I have a question. Are
yes.
all the jobs in this unit actually jobs that students can apply for?
Great question, yes. So this screenshot here, this is not specific to JA of Central Maryland, it is just a screenshot. However, all the information that is provided in this unit that you will have in your curriculum binder are jobs and companies that are represented here at JA of Central Maryland. So they are true life, and you don't have to worry that, oh, my student applied for this job and this job is not a job here that they offer. Good question. Any other questions?
Do you have any other tips of how we can best assign jobs?
Yes, I definitely do. And that will lead us into our next screen here, into a next section of our curriculum. So the next section in the curriculum is actually a printed section provided by JA of Central Maryland. So it's not going to look like the curriculum has. It's not going to have any color coding. It's not going to have any graphics. It's just going to be a printed packet. And in this packet, you will find many different job placement things to help you as a teacher. The first of those being the classified ads. So we have a classified ads section that looks exactly like a newspaper. It lists each company and each job, and some things just need an organized person, apply within. So this is something you can just hang up in your classroom, you make copies of, and have your students thinking about, oh, I might be good at that job, or oh, I really like to file paperwork, I might be good at that job. So that's one thing you can use. The next thing you can use is going to be your business and job description. And this is a list, this is a chart of every single business here in BizTown at JA of Central Maryland. We do have 14 different businesses, and we have up to 120 jobs. Now, not all of those jobs will be filled. Depending on your group size, some jobs are omitted just because they are not as important as other jobs. On this business and job description page, it will give you a description of the business. It will also give you a little checklist of what each job will do throughout the day. It doesn't include all of their jobs, but for the most part, it has this, probably 5 to 10 bullets of what responsibilities they will have throughout the day. There's also a job placement tip sheet in here, and this is really great for teachers because it gives you more specific information that you can use to put your students in jobs. For example, It'll tell you that all CEOs need to be comfortable speaking in front of peers. The newspaper staff needs to be really good at typing. The bank tellers need to be organized. So this is, I would say, a teacher-only document, as this is kind of being able to help you place students where they need to go based on their own individual skills. In this BizTown jobs section, you will also find information about elections. So we have a few jobs here at BizTown that are very popular, 1 being the mayor, 2 being the DJ, 3 being the TV host. So those jobs, as you can probably tell, will be very popular among your students. And a lot of teachers have found that hosting elections has helped solve that problem of having a lot of students, because then the students really get to have the voice of who gets selected for that role. Elections are optional. You do not have to do them. Again, totally your choice. We also have a section in here with the interviews, like I mentioned earlier. It includes interview sheets that your interviewers can use. It includes resume tips. So you can have your students write a resume. You can have them go through the interview process. Again, this part is also optional. The best way to do this, if you do decide to do interviews, is to utilize parent volunteers. Also in this section is your employment letter. Again, this is optional. It's a letter saying, congratulations, you've been awarded this position at this job. You know, we're looking forward to working with you. This letter can be used if you decide to utilize the elections and the interviews, or it can be used without. You can just use this letter if you wanted to assign your students jobs as well. Here is a picture of what those job business and job descriptions look like. Now, these are actually screenshots from businesses and jobs here at BizTown of JA of Central Maryland. So, for example, this is our Aerotech business, and you can see the business description, what the business does, as well as what each position will do throughout the day. Like I mentioned, this is not a comprehensive list, but for the most part, yes, does include everything that the student will be doing. They do not have to memorize these at all. It is provided to them on the day of their simulation. Each job has a binder or has a Chromebook in which they will be doing their work on. And they will also have these descriptions and their job task list. For any students that share a position, for example, sometimes we have a DJ number 1 and a DJ number 2. Those students will share a laptop and a binder. They will also share the same workspace and also share the work. So keep that in mind as you're assigning students, is that we will not have a computer for everybody. If they have the same job title, they will share the work and share the job for the day. This is a really great position to put students who might struggle maybe with reading or might, have a hard time understanding English, or this is a really great opportunity to utilize those positions, especially for somebody who is bilingual and can help translate to that student, or for somebody who just needs a little bit more help, put them with a stronger student in these positions, and that way they can work simultaneously together. Here is a screenshot of what that employment letter looks like. And like I just said, it's just telling the student, thank you for applying. You have been, awarded this position. Will you accept it? It's just something fun for the kids to get, that they actually got an employment letter stating which job they received at JA BizTown. All right, so moving on. Once you have taught your curriculum and you're figuring out what students are going to have which jobs, you will receive a staffing model from the staff of Junior Achievement. And on that staffing model, it'll look like this picture over here on the right. You will assign one student to a business, you will assign one student to every job, depending on your size. And there are instructions on this document, so you don't have to remember how to fill this out now. It is all provided to you. Please make sure as you're doing this, you do put a CEO and a CFO in each business. They are super important jobs, and they do need to be filled. If you're concerned about students maybe not being able to stay on task for the CEO or the CFO, or if you're concerned for other reasons, then you can contact the staff of Junior Achievement of Central Maryland, and we can help you place those students. We're always here to help if you have questions regarding placement of students and how to place, where to place, or what positions to fill first. This form will be emailed to you, and you can type directly into the form and send it back. It does need to be sent back to Junior Achievement 1 week prior to your on-site visit. And this is just ensuring that our staff are prepared as well as your students are prepared, and each business is staffed appropriately to run the simulation day efficiently. There are times that schools will be paired with another school, and the reason we do this is just honestly for sheer size. Some schools are smaller and they cannot run BizTown solely on their own, so they do need to be paired with another school. If you are paired with another school, that will be communicated by the program manager of BizTown, and the program manager will identify which school will be assigned to which businesses. That way there are no crossovers between the schools. All right, the last unit of the curriculum is the business management unit. So your students have applied for jobs, they've been notified of their jobs, they're all excited, so now what? This is where they really come together and start working as a group in order to set up their business. They are learning about business expenses, they're learning about price setting and setting prices for their products, and they are also preparing for their visit at BizTown. During this section, you will also be filling out your your BizPrep packet. Now, like I mentioned before, if you are a Baltimore City school, your BizPrep packets will be filled out on site during your simulation day. If you are a non-Baltimore City school, you will get your BizPrep packets ahead of time, and they are to be filled out prior to your visit. Your next task will be working on your student checkbooks. Now, your student checkbooks should be blank at this point. They should not have been used for your curriculum. On each checkbook, you will find that you will have a name section as well as an account number. The students will obviously write their name here, and then their account number is one that is provided by Junior Achievement. You do not have to make up your own account numbers. They will be provided based on their job title. On each page, there's also a section for name. There's also a section for account number. So make sure you have your students fill out their name and their account number on every single page. It is very important that you bring all your student checkbooks to your on-site visit day. They will be used on site, and it is important that you bring them because they will not get another one once they're here.
Can you tell me, how do we know what the student's pay will be?
That is a great question, and that actually leads me to this screen right here. On that staffing model that you will be filling out and sending back to the program manager, there is a chart that looks just like this one here on the bottom that says where they work. This is, for example, the Chick-fil-A. This is the CEO position, and here is what their pay will be. Now, this first column is their gross salary. That's obviously before taxes. Taxes are applied here at JA. So when they're filling out their check register and to check deposit to prepare for the bank, they're going to use this net salary box. That's after taxes. So depending on what their job title is, you'll be able to see what they're getting paid. For example, CEO is getting paid $8.82. CFO, $8.33. So each position is described here. We do have 3 different pay rates across JA BizTown. The CEO positions, the CFO positions, and then everybody else is the same pay rate. So we have 3 different positions. So as you're filling out your student checkbooks, you will have students that are working on different pay rates and filling out different things in their checkbooks. Does that answer your question? All right, so moving on. As you're preparing your student checkbooks, this is getting them ready for their first visit to the bank. They are going to have their first deposit ticket ready, again, using that net salary, which you can find this information on that staffing model. They will be writing out their check or their deposit ticket for receiving $2 cash back. And they will also be writing a separate savings check for $1.50. This is all information that will be sent to you prior to your visits, that you remember what to have your students prepare. Any other questions right now?
No, thank you.
Right. This screen here just kind of shows you what the deposit ticket and the check register will look like. This on the left is a deposit ticket, is actually the image that we use here at BizTown. And you can see that this person, John Smith, he has a pay rate of $7.84. He has $7.84 down in his subtotal box. All students will receive $2 cash back, and that's why the $2 is here. You just subtract the cash received from the subtotal to get your net deposit. John does have a signature here, because if the students are receiving cash back, they must have a signature there. This is exactly how the deposit ticket will look for each student. The only thing that will be different will be obviously their name, their account number, and their pay rate. But this is how it should be filled out. Over here on the left is the transaction register. Again, this is an exact screenshot of what we use here at BizTown. This is from a BizTown checkbook. You can see that we made a deposit of $6.82. Now, I will tell you, this checkbook register and this deposit ticket are not for the same person, because our amounts are different. So this is not for the same person, but this is how this will look. I have $6.82 on my deposit, and I'm writing a savings check for $1.50. So I subtract my $1.50 to get $5.32. This transaction register is really important for the students to utilize throughout the day, because this is how they're going to be keeping track of any checks they write and any purchases they make with their debit card. During this business management section, you will also have your final business prep. And for you as teachers, have you included your staffing model? Has that been emailed and completed? If you are a non-Baltimore City school, have your biz prep packets been completed? It's very important that these are completed prior to coming to BizTown. And if you are a Baltimore City school, these will be completed on the day of your on-site visit. So we've taught this great curriculum for the last 4.5 or more weeks, and now what? Now the kids get to put all this into play and actually get to come to work and get paid and do their BizTown job. So the BizTown simulation day is a 4.5 to 5 hour day. The time is arranged between the program manager and the school, depending on your arrival and dismissal times is how we'll figure out what time you'll arrive at BizTown and how long you'll stay for. We do modify that time if we need to. Sometimes with traffic or schools drive, more than an hour away to come here, we can modify that time and your students will still have a great day. Volunteers are very important to the success of the visit day. And the staff of BizTown at Junior Achievement of Central Maryland, we require 1 to 2 volunteers per business. Most of the time, these are parents. Sometimes they are corporate volunteers. These volunteers are expected to arrive 1 hour before the students, and they receive a volunteer training. And any volunteer needs will be discussed directly between the teachers and the BizTown program manager. During their simulation day, this is where the students get to become producers and consumers. They get to put all that information they just learned into play, and they're actually running the business. The volunteers are just there to help, and we tell the students that they are getting paid, and they are the ones that are running the businesses.
Hi there, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Great. So we are super excited about coming to BizTown. As a teacher, can you tell me what my role will be while I'm there?
Yes, great question. I'm so excited for you guys to come to BizTown. I'm actually going to pause your question because in one more slide, we're going to talk about the teacher's expectation. Okay, would you mind if I paused your question?
No, I don't mind. I probably will have one more question after that, though.
Okay, great. Any questions are welcome. So before I answer her question about the expectations, this is a generic simulation schedule of what the day will look like. When the students come in, they will receive a welcome and an orientation, as well as a simultaneous teacher orientation. And this is where we would be telling you about what your day will look like and how you can help support us here. We have business startup, where the kids have actually started to work. We have our opening town meeting All the students come to the center of town and each CEO gets up to speak about their business. We have a business staff meeting, which is an uninterrupted meeting where the students are preparing their documents to go to the bank. We then start our lunch breaks. Just as a note, lunch is not provided by JA of Central Maryland. All students and teachers and volunteers are required to bring their own lunch, whether that be you pack your lunch, have a school-provided lunch, or have something delivered, but lunch is not provided. So we will rotate through 3 lunch breaks. When students are not at lunch, they are expected to be working. We then have another staff meeting, which is where the students are then taking the time to update their checkbooks for any purchases they made during their lunch break. We have a second round of breaks, and this is the student shopping break. Every business gets to sell products, and the students can go around and be consumers and purchase those products. Finishing that, we have our business cleanup and our closing town meeting, where our mayor and a few other CEOs report on the status of the JA BizTown Visit Day. So that's just a generic sample of the schedule. Things do change. We do modify times as needed. Okay, so going back to her question, she had asked, what are my roles as a teacher throughout the day? So during the on-site visit day, we, the staff of Central Maryland, really rely on your help. The reason is you guys have spent the last 4 or 6 weeks teaching this curriculum, so you know your students, you know what's easy for them, you know what's hard for them. So we really rely on your help throughout the day. So your first expectation is be engaged with your students. Make sure you're actively supporting the JA staff as well as actively helping to facilitate the simulation. This is not a time to do work, grade papers, be on your devices. It is a time to be up engaging with your students. The BizTown setup, we have 14 businesses, and we're kind of in a circle. We do have a little stage in the center of town, but we're in a circle, so it's really great so you can kind of see all your students at once. Each business does have its own little business office almost, and it's really great for the kids to see when the teachers come around because they get really excited to show you all the things that they've been working on. Another expectation is to help manage student behaviors. We, as the staff of JA of Central Maryland, we will help with behaviors as needed, but since you are their teacher, you are expected to be that first primary person to help with behaviors. Any students that have medications that are being sent from school, it is your job to distribute them if needed. To help students within their businesses, they might have questions, they might not understand something. We expect you to help those students, whether it be in one business or multiple businesses, just kind of rotate around to make sure all your students are staying on task as well. Sometimes JA staff will ask teachers to volunteer in a business. Like I mentioned, volunteers are very important to the success of the day, and without them, we wouldn't be able to function. So sometimes we will ask a staff member to volunteer in a business, and if you are asked to volunteer in a business, your job would then to be in that business helping those students for the duration of the day. And the last expectation would be to cover for the volunteers during their lunch breaks. If they go on lunch and then they need to step out of their business and you're available, we might ask you to cover just as there's an adult in the room at all times. The biggest thing with this is proximity matters with students, and especially in a fun place like BizTown where the students get very excited about their work and the things that they're doing, it is very important for teachers and adults to be around and close by. Did that answer your question?
It certainly did, thank you. And just to confirm, you did say there are other staff members with JA there to help?
Yes, great question. There are about anywhere from 2 to 4 JA staff members that they are there helping with the simulation. So you as a teacher, or if you have parent volunteers that come through, they don't have to be able to answer the questions on the computer simulation, but they're just helping to manage the students. And the JA staff will help with the simulation. They will help with any computer troubleshooting. They will help with different products and all things that are housed within JA. That's what that staff is there for. So if you have a question at any time, how to do something or how to process a payment, that's what those JA staff members are there for. So for BizTown, we do have our own special permission form, and this form is asked for if the students may accommodate the class on the trip or if they cannot attend. It also asks about photography and videography permissions. We do have this form that we can provide to you. We have an English and Spanish version. You can use the form in its entirety or use the verbiage from our form in your schoolhouse form. It's very important that there is a signed form stating that 1, the students can come to BizTown, and 2, that they can or cannot be photographed. We do not have to collect those here. You don't have to bring those back as long as you collect them and keep them on site at your schoolhouse. Again, we can provide you with those forms, both English and Spanish, and you can use the form as your sole field trip form or your sole, just use the verbiage from it, your choice, or your school's choice. We also will provide you with your materials. So the materials that you get, you will have enough checkbooks and workbooks for each student that's attending BizTown. You will also receive teacher guides for each teacher that's teaching BizTown, as well as 1 school kit if you have not received a school kit in the past. Like I said, school kits are meant to be used year to year. All the other information will be provided. Materials, you are able to pick them up at our office, or we can have them shipped to you. And you can access the material requirements, the material request link from the exact same link that you access this website training from. And in that request, it'll say, who's teaching BizTown? How many materials do you need? Who should we send the information to? And at the end of that, you can also specify if you would like to pick up the materials. The materials will be delivered by UPS volunteers throughout the year. There will be no deliveries of materials from November or January. That is their busy season, so they will not do deliveries of BizTown materials during that time. If you choose to pick up your materials, you can at any time. They are available Monday through Friday. And you would just notify your JA representative, the program manager of BizTown, that you would like to pick them up when you'll be picking them up. That way we can package and prepare them for you. Any questions before we move on?
Yes, I have a question about student absences.
Yes, okay.
How would we handle that on the day of the simulation if we have students that are not in class who we've assigned jobs to?
Great question. So if you have students that are absent during your BizTown visit, what the staff of Central Maryland will do is we will work with you to figure out who's absent and what their job was. For example, if you have a student who's absent who was DJ number 2 and we have a DJ number 1, then we are okay. We do not have to fill that position. Obviously, a 1 is more important than a 2. They would still share the same job, but we need the 1 spot filled and not necessarily the number 2. If, for example, it's a CEO of a company or a CFO, somebody who it's very important that their job is filled, what we will do is we will work with you and we will try our hardest to move somebody within that same business to that position with your recommendations. We do understand that some kids are stronger in some subjects than other students. So we understand that if we would like to move this person and they might not be a good fit, we will take all your thoughts into play whenever we go to move students. But if you do have any students that are absent, the best way to do it is if you know ahead of time on your way to BizTown, you can email or call the program manager with your absences as you're on the bus, and that way we can start moving students around if we need to.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Yes. So we have a few miscellaneous reminders here as you're kind of finishing up your curriculum. Everyone does need to bring a bagged lunch. There is not time to go out for lunch. The students can bring their own bagged lunch. You can provide lunches from school, or you can have something delivered. There are a lot of places in the area that do delivery, and we can coordinate with you the times we will be eating lunch. You can have something here ready for the students at those time of the breaks. The teachers, like I mentioned before, do cover for the volunteers in the businesses during those breaks. So make sure, teachers, you also have a bagged lunch as well. Schedule your transportation as soon as possible. If you're a Baltimore City school, JA will provide your transportation. If you're a non-Baltimore City school, we do ask that you schedule your transportation as soon as possible to accommodate for your BizTown visit times. And if you're unsure of what your BizTown visit times are, just reach out to the BizTown program manager and they can let you know what times you're expected to be here. Again, complete your Biz Prep packets prior to your arrival. If you are a Baltimore City school, those will be filled out on site. Those of you who are not, make sure those students are working in those business groups and working through those packets prior to coming. One thing that's not on this slide is making sure your student checkbooks are filled out, as well as the deposit ticket and the check register in order to go to the bank. Those are all things that need to be filled out prior to the arrival of your visit.
Does that apply to Baltimore City schools as well?
Great question, yes. Baltimore City schools, yes, the checkbooks and check registers and savings check all need to be filled out. So for any school district, whether you're Baltimore City or a non-Baltimore City, please make sure your checkbooks, your check register, and your deposit tickets are all filled out prior to coming to BizTown.
Thank you.
All right, so I believe that we have reached the end of our presentation for the BizTown program teacher training. This is my contact information here. Like I mentioned, I am the program manager and can answer any of your questions related to BizTown. So do we have any more questions before we end our webinar today? Okay, it sounds like we're all good to go. If you think of any questions as you're going through your curriculum, please feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to help support you here at JA of Central Maryland. And I thank you all for participating and wish you the best of luck in your BizTown curriculum.